How's everybody doing? I can see you. Wave because I can see you because it's so fun to see you. Let's see. My computer is still having technical issues and I'm going to ignore it. So if you see anything funny, just ignore it. So good morning. So it's so cool because there are people, I know this because people email me, there are people from all over the world that watch this community. They love to watch when this stuff goes on YouTube. Did you guys know that? You probably did know that. Like all over the world, not just the country, but all over the world. It's very cool. So one of my technical difficulties is I usually have notes in my lap just so I can kind of coolly look down so you don't know that I'm doing that. But that didn't print. So if you see me look over, it's to remind me of where I am because I have really fun things planned to talk about today. And of course, I always start everything out with a cool exercise, right? So we're going to talk a lot about power today. So one of the ways that we dial into our power is by doing grounding exercises or grounding techniques. So if you could very gently, in case somebody's sitting next to you, raise your arms in the air and just kind of give yourself a little bit of a stretch and then let them float back down. And then close your eyes, excuse me, and inhale and exhale slowly through your nose. And as you do, listen to the sound of your breath as it moves in, through, and away from you. So just give yourself a minute to move in, through, and away from you. Now imagine the rich energy of Mother Earth coming up from the core of the earth and filling you up. It goes up through the soles of your feet and it fills you up with amazing energy, light and love and good health. And you can feel it as it sort of tingles and it flows and it sways through you. And it fills every cell of your body with light. As you inhale, in comes the light. And as you exhale, out goes any hurt. So just give yourself a minute to inhale and exhale. Now gently, with your eyes closed, draw a couple of circles with your nose to the right and then to the left. And keep your breath steady. And listen to yourself as you do this. Listen to your breath. Now imagine that there are strings attached to your clothing right at the top of your shoulders, and that very gently the strings lift up and drop down. The strings lift you up and then it lets you drop down. So lift your shoulders up a couple times and drop them down. And then move them forward a few times and then backwards a few times. Now move your feet back and forth with your eyes closed and listening to yourself breathe. Move your feet back and forth and feel the soles of your feet tingle. Now imagine this beautiful iridescent white light come down from the heavens, and that amazing energy of Mother Earth coming up from the soles of your feet meet inside your body and kiss, filling you with light. You are now divinely protected. So anything like that is an amazing thing to do in the morning, before you go to work, before you have a big meeting, before you go to the grocery store. It's a wonderful way to get yourself back into your body and protect your body and your spirit from unwanted energy, because we are all picking things up all of the time, consciously or unconsciously. And you don't want to be negatively impacted by what you pick up. You want to stay in your own space. It's very empowering. All right, so see how I kind of move my head like this? That's because my notes, again, are not dropped in my lap, so my apologies. I'll keep my eye on you. I just want to make sure that I have this. This is where, when I'm physically in that gorgeous building by Lake Harriet, I'll move back to the podium and then back again. That's what I'm doing when I do this. All right, So we are going to be talking about stepping into our power. So when you think of the word power, feel what your body does with that. I feel the word light. I see the word light. I hear the word light. But when I was a kid, I thought power was power over or somebody over empowering me. And that's not what true power is. When you feel like you have to have power over somebody and control them, that's acting out of fear. When you are empowered within yourself, you're acting out of love. So to step into your true power, A, you have to be in your body, and B, you have to feel that love for yourself. So one of the biggest things about stepping into your power is self-acceptance. Self-acceptance. It is knowing that you are perfectly okay just the way you are. And that, of course, change is evident and it's not even eventual. It's going to happen. It's always happening. But we are okay with where we are and who we are, right? And when you can say to yourself, I am perfectly perfect just the way I am, and I know I can improve because that's what I want to do, but I'm really all right just the way I am. I don't need to people please. I don't need to say yes or no if I don't want to. I can say whatever I want. I don't need to act out of anything but my intuition, so I can say yes to gut and no to guilt. All of these things are empowering. And if you can quiet your mind and tell yourself that story, it becomes even more so. Oh my gosh, if you guys could see what my computer is doing. I don't know if it's the psychic energy, because I'm sure it happens to you, but my stuff's dancing on my computer, and I don't have any dancing program on it. So when we are in our power, we are connected with our higher soul and are filled with light and love. When we are in our higher power, we are accepting and embracing and loving who we are just as we are. We know we are enough. So these are lovely words that I'm sure you've said to yourself in some order before, but when you can consistently say them to yourself, when you can wake up in the morning and say it to yourself, when you can face the day knowing that you are wearing that, you are more empowered. You definitely are more empowered. And when you can be all right with somebody saying no to you, you're more empowered. Because it doesn't mean that you're not exactly who you are. If somebody says no to you, you're still the same person. It's all right. The other part of being self-empowered is knowing that you can stay in your own space with your opinion and you can actively listen to what somebody else has to say without feeling like you're being bowled over by it. You can just listen. And right now, in this day and age, it's a very good time to be able to listen if you want to, and then speak as well. And not just wait to respond, thinking about what you're going to respond to, but actively listen. That's actually self-empowering. It's about letting go of the illusion of control. Being self-empowered and stepping into our power is knowing that the universe has our back and that it really is an illusion to think that we have control over everything that's going on around us. We have control over our thoughts. We have control over the message we give ourselves about who we are. We have control over our response to our feelings. So we have our feelings, I know I've talked about this, and they just come up and they're a gift from God, from the universe. But what we tell ourselves about what those feelings mean, that's our emotional response. So it's the story we're telling ourselves. So if you can tell yourself the nicest story possible about what your feelings mean, you're empowered. Because a rejection then doesn't feel like a rejection. It feels like it's not meant to be, that's not going to work. I didn't get that job, that's okay. I'm gonna have another opportunity. It's consistently giving yourself those messages without discounting your feelings, because your feelings do count. But remember, you are telling yourself a story about what they mean. It's okay to be vulnerable. You're self-empowered when you are vulnerable. You guys know who Brene Brown is? I love her. Here's one of my favorite quotes of hers. Courage starts with showing up and letting ourselves be seen. There's so much power in letting yourself be seen. And there's so much power in knowing that, of course, you care about what other people think of you because we're human, but it doesn't have to change you. It's really none of your business what people think of you. And if you're a psychic, which you probably are, because everybody is, and if you're aware of it, which you probably are, because you're here, you probably can sense sometimes what people might be feeling, but you're not sure. Nobody's ever sure. So you can tell yourself a different story about what you think they're thinking, and you can say to yourself, it's really none of my business. So when you care about what other people think, you give away your power. And you're not able to step in it as much. And when you are basing your opinion about something based on what one of your friends thinks, or somebody that you're dating thinks, or your spouse or your partner thinks, that's not self-empowering. Self-empowering is being able to stay in your own space and have your own opinion no matter what. And it's so funny because some of the basics, there's this thing about what I learned in kindergarten. I'm sure you guys have seen that. This is what it reminds me of. What I learned in kindergarten. Because if you keep bringing yourself back to this space of, it's none of my business what other people think of me, I can say no. I can feel good about who I am, and I know I'm okay just the way I am. Those are just the basics. And once you have them, you start to glow. Your light is sparked, and you start to just radiate your light. And that just feeds more of your own self-esteem. It's wonderful. That's more empowering. Okay, so if you are heading through your day and you say to yourself, every time I walk into my kitchen, I'm going to say, I am filled with love, appreciation, and grace. If you decide tomorrow that you're going to do this, or the rest of the day, check out how you feel. And if you go in your kitchen several times a day. Or if you say, every time I walk through a door, I'm going to say, I am filled with love, appreciation, and grace. Watch what happens for you. Because instead of giving yourself the message that, oh my gosh, my house is so dirty, I need to dust it, or I'm going to be late for my appointment, if you're saying things like, I'm filled with love, appreciation, and grace, you give yourself room to step into your power, even deeper into it. Okay, let's see. So on this very subject, we live in Minnesota, where I do. And in Minnesota, we know about all the changes in the seasons. And it is empowering to know that we have in our closets a wrap for every season. Something for the winter, something for the summer, something for the fall. Not much for the summer, I guess, but you get my picture. So we are empowered because we know that we can cover ourselves and we can keep ourselves cool. So as we move into our seasons changing, we are also experiencing astrological changes. And I'm not an astrologer, I'm an energy reader. There's a lot to read right now, I'm sure you know. It's an extra important time to be able to stay in your space. So even though Mars is retrograde, that fiery planet that is about passion and courage and I guess an older way to look at it is war, but it really is about starting new things and standing up. And that's an amazing planet, and it's in retrograde. So that opposite end, the tender underbelly, is really what's impacting us. We're going to be impacted, right? But if we can stay in our space with it and know that it's happening outside of us and affecting us internally, but happening outside of us, we can feel more balanced knowing that this is a retrograde. This is what I'm going to feel. It's cold out. This is what I'm going to feel. The elections are coming. This is what I'm going to feel. But who I am inside remains the same. And I am filled with love and appreciation and courage and light. You can handle things so much better if you can stay in your space with it. So I am going to read something. I hope you can see my earrings. Something I can't do that when we're actually at Lake Harriet. But I want to read this because it is something sort of like a chiropractic adjustment for your soul. So close your eyes for a second and just inhale and exhale through your nose. And then you can keep your eyes closed, you can open them. I'm just going to read this and see how you feel inside. Mars will be retrograde from September 9th to November 13th. Fire is the element of Mars. It is a planet of action, desire, passion, and aggression. Retrogrades bring to the surface that which has been hidden. They reveal and help us heal. So here's a game plan. You have to have a game plan. Be patient and breathe. Reflect before reacting. I'll say that again. Reflect before reacting. Tune into the language of your intuition. This is a very empowering time to learn to really go for that guidance inside, because your heart yearns and your mind yearns. Your heart needs, your mind yearns, and intuition actually is the neutral. I think it's the only neutral. So make your go-to be to do that which is for the good of all. Make that your go-to. What is for the good of all? If it's for the good of all, it's good for you too. So, all right, I probably already said that, didn't I? Feel your joy as it arises. Allow the upside to be the side you are on. So the reason I wanted to read that is I channel when I write. So as I wrote that, I was like popping out of the channel and going, oh my God, this is so cool. And then I'm popping back in. And what I realize is when there are certain things that you find or that you write or that you read, and it centers you and it reminds you of what's happening on the outside, but more about tuning in on the inside, that's another way for me personally, I can step into my power. And that's a way I can watch my clients step into their power. And this is what energy looks like when you step into your power. If I'm looking at you and I can see where you are as far as stepping into your power. Do you know when somebody has a suntan, just a little bit of a glow? That's what it looks like. There's like this color change in people and the energy around them just radiates. It's a very cool thing. It's more fun to talk with somebody about anything if they have stepped into their power and they are connected with their insight and their intuition. So here's more about intuition. Your intuition speaks to you through a language. And if you can just be quiet, just like you are inside of yourself, those little signals will start to become so much louder. And when you need to make a decision, do I speak up? Do I not speak up? You say to yourself, do I speak up? And if you feel kind of lit up inside and like something in you is rising, that's a yes. And when you feel a heaviness, that's usually a no. So start tuning into yourself that way. It is something that will be changing form inside of you right now. So the way it's been will be louder. This is a wonderful time to tune into your intuition, and your intuition is changing because you're changing. You can't help but change a little bit in what's going on in a good way. So does anybody have questions about any of this? See, how can I hear you? Let's see, again. Let's see if I can do this and see more of you. Oh, I can see so many more of you. Hi. Isn't this fun? All right. Some people don't have their pictures on. That's all right. If you have a question, let's see if I can unmute you, or I know you can unmute yourself. Anybody have a question about this process? Oh, I got one. Okay. Right here. Let's see, how do I unmute you? Ask to unmute. Can you see I haven't done this in a while? I've been using Skype for everything I've been doing. Okay. How do you say your name? Ellen or Eileen?
Oh, Ellen.
Ellen, do you have a question?
Hi.
Hi.
Oh, did you think I had a question?
You do. It's floating above your head. Do you know what it is?
No.
Oh, are you sure? If something comes to you, then I'll very casually unmute you again.
Oh, okay. The question, what's next?
What's next for you in general?
Yes.
So I feel like what's next for you is what's coming for so many other people. We're in motion. We can feel that we're like horses just ready to come out of a race or just starting a race, only it's a different kind of race. It's a race to come back into ourselves. It's a race to remind ourselves that no matter what's going on astrologically and no matter what's going on politically, we're still who we are. And if we can keep reminding ourselves of that and speaking our truth absolutely. We don't have to throw it up on people, but speaking our truth. And I would say for you, you're good at speaking your truth and sometimes learning to listen, like I said, actively, because you're very perceptive. And if you can open your intuition as you are listening, you might get some more insight on how to connect with whomever you're speaking with. So does anybody else have a question? Raise your hand if you do.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. I see how to unmute.
Yeah, Gary has to do that for everyone. We can't do it ourselves.
Oh, I'm going to see if I can do this. Let's see. Ask to unmute. I'm asking to unmute. That's all right. Okay, here we go.
Jodi's a co-host, so she should be able to do that too.
I did it. Okay, I can see a lot of you. And if you have see if I can't see all of you though, can I? Oh, I can't see all of you. Looks like Gary, you can help me with this if people have questions, because I want to make sure I don't miss anybody, because God forbid I leave anybody out. All right, if you have a question, I know there's a way you can raise your hand. Again, I've been using Skype a lot, so I am. Okay.
There's a question in chat too. Can you see that?
My chat isn't up because I had those technical difficulties, so I didn't put my chat up. So could you read it?
I can read it for you.
Yeah.
It's from Patricia, and it says, I know quite a few people are having a really hard time with pandemic and the isolation it is causing. Election coming up and the discontent of people at this time. How can I help them? Is there anything I can say to them and to myself at times that will help them through this?
Beautiful question. So first of all, when you think of that person or those people, fill yourself with love and light and imagine like a cloud, a beautiful cloud, bringing that love and light to them as well. So when you think of them, even though you know they're feeling lonely, think of their light because you ignite it that way. It sounds like, you know, something you'd get a fortune cookie. Oh, I love fortune cookies, but it's true. So if you think of them as, oh, I know they might feel lonely, but I'm remembering their light, that's what builds in them. The other thing is reach out to them and put it on your calendar to reach out to them. So you know, like every other Monday or every Monday or a couple times a week, you're going to call them or text them or do something like that. And we've talked about this before because I spoke with all of you months ago. I think we were still sheltering in place. So I just got the chills. There are a lot of people that this question pertains to. That's what this means. Is to know that we are doing this together, not just this community and not just this country, but this planet. We're doing this together. So when you start to feel lonely, tune into the fact that we're all in this together and you don't quite feel as lonely. And then put yourself on an energy diet, which would mean you get to watch anything and do anything that makes you feel good. So it's the opposite. Instead of taking something away, you give yourself something. Give yourself the gift of watching, if you love Netflix or something like that, a show that makes you laugh. Pick up a book that you really love that makes you feel empowered. Call your friends. Do things. Spoil yourself. That's what you can do right now. And exercise. Sure to exercise, because when you're in your body, you're happier. So those are some things that you can do and that you can encourage your friends to do. So it's funny because when something goes on, usually you can call your friend and say, I just heard this happen for you, and you want to be supportive, but it's happening for all of us in different ways, really, but very similar because we're experiencing the same thing. And again, in this country, we're experiencing the elections, which always causes some energetic funkiness, but I think it's especially big right now because that amazing divine feminine energy that's in all of us is rising. And we are no longer okay with feeling power over and having somebody control us. We are wanting to speak up for ourselves, whatever that means, and feel empowered. So there's a lot changing. And we're actually getting a lot of help from the universe to help make this a positive change for us. So the outcomes, I feel good about the outcomes. I don't know exactly what's going to happen because I don't read the future, I read the signs, but I do know that the way that we feel energetically makes a very big difference. So I have friends that say, I'm afraid this person's going to win. And I have other friends that say, I'm afraid this person's going to win. And I say, connect with the goodness inside of you that wants the goodness inside of whoever that is to win, and stop going in a place of fear about it. Do what you can for yourself. That has to do with the elections, and that has to do with astrology, and it has to do with everything on the planet. So I have friends and family in the places that are on fire right now, and have been on fire. And instead of thinking of, oh my gosh, it's on fire, I'm thinking in terms of the universe helping put all the fires out completely and having people be safe. So I'd rather plant myself in that place than be in one of fear all the time. It's the same thing. You get these feelings, but what story are you telling yourself about what they mean? And trust me when I say, I don't always do it right. I don't always do it well. Not at all. Right before we did this, I'm like, oh my gosh, my technical issues. I was like screaming to my husband, I can't get this working. But I brought myself back by thinking, well, they're going to understand this. There's not one person watching this that hasn't had technical difficulties. And Gary was amazing about it. So I usually beat myself up if I'm late for anything. And even though I allowed enough time, it didn't quite work the way I wanted it to, but I dove right back into my light, right with you, with the stuff I was reading. That's a choice that I make, and I make it every single day. And if you're having a hard time during this pandemic, you're not alone. All of us are. And if somebody says it's not impacting them, I would say, that's interesting. I haven't met anybody that said that. It's impacting us all. And really your go-to should be to be on, like I said, that side of the upbeat side of the, I'm going to take action to make this okay for me. I'm going to do little and big things that make this okay for me. And I know that that adds to the really good energy. So here's another quick technique about your intuition and how you can use your intuition to make decisions. When you're going to make a decision, big or small, get quiet within yourself. And if it's whether to go or to not go at a busy light, obviously you can't really pause. Use your mind to look around and tune into your gut and then go with it. But let's say you have a couple minutes to make a decision. You get really quiet within yourself and you listen to yourself breathe. Just do that. It helps to close your eyes, but you can't always do that. Or look down. It's very powerful to just look down. And then ask yourself the question and see what happens with your energy when you think of the different answers. And the one that gives you the most energy, the one that feels the best, I always compare it to like what you feel like when you're done eating vegetables, like that work for you, you feel energized. And sometimes the choices that are the easiest feel like eating candy, which is that rush right away, and then it's gone and you crash. And then sometimes it's neutral, like it's a pasta. So I must be hungry. Those are really good examples though. So ask yourself the question, and then repeat the answers in your head and see where you're drawn. And your intuition will lead you to the one that feels the best, the longest. So it should feel good after you make the decision too. And because things, like the roadmap is so different now, right? It doesn't really exist. This is all new. I mean, my license expired during shelter in place. How about yours? And then I couldn't renew it. Who hasn't renewed their license? Like all these weird things on the outer world and in the inner world, but you keep bringing yourself back to a place that says, we're all experiencing this together. We're in this together. So I'm going to dive into my insight to help guide me. I don't always, my insight is a wonderful navigational tool. Your insight is too, your intuition, but you should, put it up against your head and your heart too. Like I've always said, trust your gut, follow your heart, and use your head. So anybody have a question about this or a comment, something to share? Oh, okay, Renee does. Let's see if I can do this. Unmute. Renee.
I really appreciate you doing this, Jodi. I love you. You're wonderful. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
And then I want to say, I had some questions on meditation. I've been trying to do more meditation. I was wondering how often you meditate and for how long. Do you do it in the morning, in the evening? Does it vary? And also affirmations. I love the one you gave us where you said, I've been writing it down, I'm filled with love, appreciation, and grace. I'm going to try that. Do you have other affirmations that you start your day with or that you use throughout the day that help you?
Yes, I have so many affirmations. So then I'm so dyslexic, everything's going back and forth, and I love all your questions, so keep me on track. First, I'm going to talk about the affirmations.
Okay.
I love affirmations. I look at affirmations every day of my life. I write them, absolutely. They're in both of my Happy Medium books. There's a lot of affirmations, especially in my second one, the Speaking the Language of Intuition. And I also have them all over my blog. So if you are interested in my affirmations, they're all over my blog. And I post them on my social media. I look them up. I look other people's affirmations up on the internet. And every night before I go to sleep, I read positive affirmations. They're not, "You're perfect," although that'd be fun too. They are things like, "The day was beautiful. I am releasing anything negative and letting it just go. The positive parts are going to stay with me and are going to be with me tomorrow," right? Marianne Williamson in her book Illuminata, she's got great affirmations. And also Florence Scovel Shinn. She's not here anymore physically, but she's written some beautiful things. Affirmations are very powerful. Okay, what was the first part of the question?
Meditation, how often and how long you do that?
Okay, so I've had a couple people ask me this just in the last like 48 hours, several people, like 7. Here's the thing about meditation. There are amazing meditation techniques, and I'm sure they all work beautifully for whomever. I have a very short attention span. And so my meditation, there's a book, I think it's called The 1 Minute Meditator, and I learned a lot from it. I just close my eyes and listen to myself breathe. And if you can do that for 30 seconds, 1 minute, 5 minutes, if you can keep your mind on your breath, in and out slowly through your nose, that's a meditation. Because what you're doing is your mind closes, your mind sort of gets mellow, and you're only listening to the sound of your breath. So that negative narrator in the back of your mind isn't saying things like, does my laundry, is it really that bad? I can see it 5 miles away when I drive up to my house. Or is there enough food in my refrigerator for my children? You know, the different things that go through our head, always going through our head. When you meditate, you put it on mute in some ways, and you fill your mind with the sound of your breath, and it stops this in constant flow of negative chatter, and it has this beautiful ability to then allow you to move into your insight and your personal power. It's amazing. Other people like to listen to the sound of a fan. Some people put music on and listen, or they listen to a creek. Anything that you can do to just be quiet and listen and get your mind on that, have it be more interesting than anything else, completely changes things. And if you're working and you're stuck on something, if you just stop, get up, leave the room, wash your hands. Cold water is amazing at helping ground you and change the energy. Listen to yourself, breathe for a couple minutes, and go sit down. You're going to have a different perspective. You're not coming back to where you were. You're different. Your whole energy has changed. So I'm going to say this because I'm picking up on a couple of people's thoughts just because they're sort of puffing out. I don't know who they belong to. Please know that everybody has self-esteem stuff. Everybody. And you're definitely not alone in that. And that you just keep repeating nice things to yourself about yourself. Be nice to you. That is another way to step into your power, is be nice to you. Say nice things to yourself. So, and don't feel like you're alone with your moments of, I used to call it, there's that bad hair day. I used to call it having a bad self-esteem day. And we all have them. But if we can just say to ourselves, that's all right, I'm going to switch up my mood by switching up my energy and do that little meditation and read affirmations, you switch it up for yourself. The problem is we buy into it. We believe that that's really how we feel about ourselves, instead of just at the moment, we just think we lock in and think that's how we feel, but it's not. This is something momentarily taking us over that we're allowing to come back. Switch it up in your head and know you're not alone with it. It is so much fun to like yourself. And I have this quote I always say, love everybody. Act as if everybody loves you, and love everybody. First of all, it'll piss off people who really aren't really grooving with you right now. And that's just the bonus. Not that I want to piss anybody off, but it's like, that's all right. Because if you can feel how much people really love you, that's you loving you too. So when somebody says something sweet to me like you did, Renee, I think that is like so cool, and it means so much to me. And I know that means I'm radiating that love of me out, right? And if somebody says something that's not great, maybe it's me radiating something not so nice, or maybe it's just somebody saying what they're saying and I'm not having it. So thank you. Those were delightful questions. Now watch as I mute you back. Okay, another question? Oh, Gary, help me because I can't see every single person.
Yes, and there was some in the chat a while back.
Super
There's
sorry.
one from Megan. It says, my question is, how can we determine what is our intuition versus either anxiety, negative thought patterns, etc.?
Or fear. So your intuition is nice to you. Your intuition is going to be nice to you. Your fear, not so much. Your fear is going to say nasty things to you. Your fear is going to be critical. Intuition is never critical. Your guides are never critical of you. And the angels around you are never critical of you. So that's the biggest way, is that it's that nice voice. So that doesn't mean when your intuition is going to give you the biggest cop out, doesn't mean you're going to have to go for something that's the easiest thing, because that's candy, right? Your intuition is going to feel like that vegetable, if you do well with vegetables, that gives you energy as you eat it and it remains with you. So before I do a reading, I do this beautiful white light prayer that I think I'm going to do again at the end of this. I fill myself with light that turns me into a more neutral energy. So then everything's more obvious. If an insight comes in and it feels good, I know it is good. If an insight comes in and it feels bad, not so much on that. Then I check it. I say, is that something going on for me? Is that true insight? So you just check yourself. And the best thing is when you trust your gut and you follow your heart and use your head, when you do that, watch to see what the result is. So try it in a small thing and watch to see what the result is. If the result is awesome, then remember how you felt when you were sharing that insight with yourself when it came. That same amazing feeling is going to come again when you're supposed to do the very same thing next time. That's how I learned to do this. Now, I didn't know what intuition was. I thought God was talking to me, and in some ways I believe that's really true. But I just learned to go, okay, I feel this way, and when I feel this way and I do this, it works. Now I feel this way, and when I feel this way, it doesn't work. And it changes. But that's pretty much how I do it. And everybody's different. That's why I say there's a language to intuition, because my yes, yes, yes feeling inside might be different than yours. But if you know what your yes feels like and your no feels like, wow, it's like a set of wheels. It'll help you go. Hope that answered the question. The other question?
There was another question back here from Patricia, who asked a question before, and she was talking about her son is in an especially really low place and doesn't allow his spiritual side into his life. He is in his 30s and not allowing himself to be affected by things I say to him. I pray for him and send him healing, but it seems like he continues to stay in his dark place.
Okay, so here's my answer to that. And I'm a mom, so this does not I come with thinking about this. He is an adult, and he is responsible for his life, and letting go of our own sense of control with that is difficult, but knowing that his soul is wise and his soul will lead him to his light. You have to step back and let him live his life and live his story. You can say and think nice things to him. You can show him what it's like to live with purpose and be in tune with your intuition and love everyone. You can show him what it's like to feel your love and your appreciation and your grace, but you can't do it for him. And so if you can know that and step away from that, you will feel more empowered, and you'll give him an opportunity for him to take in any of the goodies that's coming. And it's very hard, especially when somebody's in a place where we think is really dark, like you're saying. But if you hold in your heart and in your mind his light, think of him in his light. Not you should be in your light, son of mine, but just remembering him in his light. Again, you allow that space for it to happen for him. It's really hard. It's a lot about letting go, and which is difficult. And you can talk to him, but if he's not listening, he's not going to be able to take it in. So wait for a time where he asks you, because if you give it to him before he can handle it, before he's willing, When he's willing, he's going to turn it away because he'll feel choked by it. But if you give it to him when he's giving you signals, obvious signals that he's open, then he'll take it in. I used to, many years ago, vomit out insights. And I think that's the perfect way to say it because people weren't asking. And I realized it wasn't helping. And because it came to me and it was so powerful and I felt like it was such a good thing, I would sometimes say it. This is a very long time ago. And I learned that's not helping them. And it's not fair. They're not asking. So I don't walk around reading people at the store. People will come up to me sometimes and say, I watch you on Twin Cities Live and I love your work. What's happening with my dad? He died. I'm like, I'm not reading you. I do that from my work. I don't just walk around doing that unless I do like Sidewalk Psychic with Twin Cities Live and all those people agree. I have good boundaries with my intuition. I might pick something up, but just because I pick it up doesn't mean it's something for me to share. So that's a good thing to know too. But you're picking it up for a reason, so maybe it's for you, right? Hope that helped.
And Patty had a question from kind of the other side of that question. And what's the best way to protect our boundaries against people who give unwanted advice?
Oh, how do you like that? Ha! I was way ahead of it, wasn't I? So when we give advice, sometimes we really are giving it to ourselves. So if you allow that grace for that person knowing that. But I have a lot of friends that are intuitive. I've been doing this my whole life since I was a teenager. I've learned to say to those people that literally want to come up and read me, not open right now, not in a space to take it in, won't be able to enjoy and use your wonderful information. So no, not right now. No, thank you. And then there's always this. That face will shut anyone down, but it's not very nice. So I use that when people really are trying to push their stuff on me. If I say no, thank you, I give them that energy that says, I'm not open. Thanks, but I'm just not open. So don't you give advice that's unwanted. That's a huge thing. If you're feeling like people are doing that, don't you do it. And then they'll feel it, that you're not. And the other thing you can do energetically is imagine, again, if you want to do this right now, it's really cool, that you close your eyes and you fill yourself with that light and it comes up from the earth and down from the heavens. And then imagine that you're zipping yourself up. So right from below your belly button all the way up, you're zipping up and you are keeping unwanted energy out. That is a very powerful thing to do, especially right now when you can take a walk and everybody's got something sitting in their yard about where they're at with their politics, which is fine. I'm so happy people are speaking up and are going to vote. But maybe you don't want that energy. You zip up. Somebody approaches you, and I used to do this, so I'm Jewish. I love being Jewish. So wonderful. And I love all religions. I've studied so many religions, and I think they're wonderful. But I've lived in different places, like I was in California for a while. People would come up in different times to try to convert me to another religion. And I used to say things that were sort of silly and not hugely respectful. And I just learned to just smile at them and say, thanks, I love God, and walk away. So you can do that with your energy when somebody's approaching you about something political or anything. You can just look at them and say, thanks, I got this for myself, and walk away. So have fun with it. Be respectful, but have fun with it when people kind of bombard you with energy. Somebody else is thinking about that. Somebody else in this group is feeling like energy balls are coming at them all of the time. And so at least one person, because I just saw this big picture of it. So when you feel like that's happening, here's another thing you can do. Imagine the most gorgeous umbrella that you have ever seen. And it's light as a feather, but it's giant. And you open it up and all of that stuff doesn't touch you. So if you can imagine these things that help protect you, you're protected. And also know that when people approach you about religion or approach you about politics, it's because it's important to them, and that's all right. So attach to that piece, know that piece, but let the rest go and just say, not talking about it, or I will talk about it in a safe environment. But you don't have to get into an argument about it. You can put your umbrella up, because you can't go anywhere or do much without understanding that there's this stuff going on. Just be smart about it. Just like I said, we dress for the weather, dress for the energy. Next. Isn't this fun?
No more questions in chat.
So if you have one, maybe you could raise your hand if you have something like that, unless it's the chat that you usually do it. It's so fun because I can see all these familiar faces. Oh, question? Did somebody unmute? I heard something. Did you guys hear that?
Somebody has their hand up. Let me unmute them.
Hello, Jodi.
Hi.
Hi, this is Teresa. I'm a big fan of yours.
I'm a big fan of yours. You have the most beautiful energy. I love all you talk about with the herbs and the flowers and the. I'm so happy you're tuned in. And tell everybody where you are.
I'm in Scotland. I'm in Scotland, and I'm delighted that you've come on so early because I've tried to catch your meetings, and they've always been later in the day, and it's when I'm sleeping. So it's so nice to be able to catch you at this time of day. So
I'm so happy, and everybody can feel your amazing energy. So I'm so happy you're part of this.
Thank you. So I have a question for you, and I wondered if you could explain to me how it works. So if somebody has a back injury, say they have a slipped disc, is there something that a person can do from preventing that to happen in the first place? And if so, what can they do? What does it mean energetically? Is that something that you can relate to or explain a little bit?
Absolutely. So when things like that happen, there's a plan for it. So if it's meant to happen, you can do things to make it hurt less or have less of an impact. But if it's meant to happen, it's going to happen. That's the first thing. Things happen in our lives. So we shouldn't beat ourselves up and think, because I'm really into the law of attraction, it doesn't mean you drew it to you because you're bad or you drew it to you in some way. It might have been part of your plan before you came. So give yourself some grace if it happens. That's number one. And number two, be strong in your body always. Be strong in your spirit, be strong in your body, be strong in your mind. Because if something like that is going to happen, you're going to be better equipped to get through it. So that's the first thing. Just be strong always. Do things, do yoga, do things no matter how old you are. Make sure your body moves, because you'll bounce back faster if you're juicy, you know, like if you're not stuck. If you turn around to get something in the back of your car and you're in pain because you feel like you're so stiff, time for yoga, time for some sort of exercise, right? That's being strong. When or if something like that happens, get off your own back, pardon my pun, and be open to the different sort of modalities that can help you heal. So absolutely see a physician if that's where you want to go for something like that, for sure. And then do other things with the foods you eat, and don't eat things that are inflammatory, and do everything you can and imagine yourself as healthy. So everybody has felt pain before. I actually have some problems with my back, and years ago it was really, really bad. So what happens when you're in pain is, of course, you feel it and acknowledge it. But the moments that you're not feeling pain, really sink into those. Sink more into the feeling good piece. And that's with your mind as well, or when you're in pain emotionally. Remember things that make you feel good and sink into that, and get yourself into the habit, into the groove of remembering how it felt to feel good emotionally and physically, because your spirit will help you get there faster when you can do that. Does that make sense? And to not lock into, I am this. So if people have a problem with their back, for instance, to not lock into, poor me, this is who I am, it's never going to be the same. That's just not true, because things are always changing in some way. Things are always changing. But you see, Teresa, you're a healer. Healers want to make that difference, right? But we can't always do that for someone else. We can never. We can give them the information, but then we have to back away and let them do what they're going to do with it. Thank you.
We've got one from Bonnie. It says, do your spiritual guides help or communicate with you through intuition?
That is how they do it. It's through intuition. They communicate with you through your intuition. And your intuition is love. It's the same energy. So when you get a hunch about something, your guides are helping you get that hunch. And the angels are doing that. And they'll also do things like, lately, there's been so much for me with the double numbers, 1111, 222. And so I love numerology. And there's so many different ways to look at it, and different grooves to understand what a 1 means and a 2 means. It switches up for me all the time. So if you're getting like 222 every time you look at a clock, or lots of times, obviously not every time, but oftentimes you look and it's those double numbers, you look at what those numbers are numerologically. Just look it up online. What is it? What resonates with you? And if it's double numbers, then you know that it's even bigger. And that is sometimes how your angels and your guides also reach you. They love to use those. Sometimes they speak to you through animals. Animals, you'll be thinking about something and you're reminded of your sister when you see a certain butterfly and she flutters by and your sister's gone without a body. That's a message that spirits use, and also angels and guides use to say your person's okay. Next. Oh, Rich. I see Rich. Watch this. I'm so savvy at this. Especially my face. Okay, hi, Rich.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. I unmuted you all by myself. What's your question?
Very nice. So I've been having issues with obsessive thoughts, and actually it's nothing new to me, but something happened recently that's really triggered it. And it's a somewhat seemingly small event, but my mind just keeps going over and over and over it, and I've been meditating and trying to release and let go and welcome in positive emotions, and it's just really sticking.
Okay. This is what's coming. Can I tell you what's coming to me when you say this? Act as if that thought, whatever that thought is, act as if that thought is like a little kid, a cute little kid with a poopy diaper that is going to get changed, right? Going to get changed. Maybe that's not your kid, but that is a kid, and you have affection for the kid, but really it's not necessary for that kid to be around right now. And so you just think of it as a poopy diaper kid, and then it doesn't intimidate you so much. And you don't beat yourself up if the thought comes. You have some things right in the back of your mind, affirmations, if you will, positive words that you just go to instead. And don't tell yourself a story that this happens all the time. Just say to yourself, it's fine. And then just lead yourself back to a different thought. Because your mind goes in the direction that you feed it. So it's like a record groove. Anybody remember records with the groove? Your mind is going on a groove. So what you want to do is bring it to a different groove. So you just keep filling yourself with other thoughts. See, the thing is, you're a very committed person. Like, you take your commitments very seriously. And so there's a part of you that thinks you should be committed to that thought. Even though you know that's not logical, there's a part of you that thinks, well, it's always been there. Well, it's there because you keep bringing it forward. So just feed your mind other positive thoughts and think of that thought as a cute kid with a poopy diaper.
So rewiring, essentially.
Right, and have some fun with it. Just think of your thoughts that don't feel good as, maybe at one time they served, but maybe not. And I'm just going a different direction.
Yeah, and you're totally right, because I've noticed that there's a part of my mind that wants that pain, and so I'm attracted to thinking the same thoughts over.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but it's not that you want it. It's that it's a habit. So any habit can be changed. So tell yourself, it's not that I want that, I'm used to it. It's comforting because I'm used to it. So now I'm going to get comfortable with something else. So we have sensory issues in my house. Like, it's hard for us to maybe put different clothes on, or we have, like, changing seasons has always been hard for me and my kids. Not all of them, some of them. So I have one child that would wear a winter jacket into the summer because it was hard to change. But we learned what we're not comfortable with that heavy winter jacket in the summer. So that's what your thought is. It's not fitting anymore. So just think of it that way. And just make yourself go into the groove of thinking something different. Thank you so much for asking. Those were great questions.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'm going overtime, aren't I? This is an hour long, correct?
Yeah, but you started a little late, so whenever you're ready.
Oh yeah, no, I'm good. I can go a little bit more. This is fun. Does somebody else have another question? Hi, Jill. Oh, this is so fun. It's like romper room. You see all these people. All right, who has another question? Anybody? Or I can just read the room. so to speak. Should I read the room? All right. Okay, so the energy of the people that I feel watching right now is, there's a lot of humor, but there's some seriousness. And I feel like so much information does feel bombarding. So like right here, if anybody's got some stuff like right here, I remember my bun is right here, that part of us, sometimes we can be saturated with information. So imagine the most amazing hat you've ever seen, even if you don't think hats look good on you, that you put that hat on in your mind, and it keeps yourself from feeling like you're being bombarded with different thoughts and the things that are going on. So since this is the third time at least that this has come up, I've talked about the umbrella, this, just know that this is a very good time for you to put your protective wear on. So a rain hat if it rains, so you put something on that says, I'm gonna go out and about, or I'm even gonna go on the internet. And all these things can come to me. I'm gonna make sure that I saturate myself with really good things before I go on, so I am not impacted by everything around me, but I'm aware of it, because you want to be aware of it. It's really important to be aware of it. So you don't put your head in the sand about what's going on. It's too important right now to know what's going on, but then fill your mind with other things that make you feel good. So just remember, make your thoughts your friends. Make them like you. Do nice things for yourself. Fill yourself up with that right now. A lot of my friends are really working on their skin. I love like doing nice things for my skin. It's the same thing. Do nice things for your thoughts, for your spirit, by making sure that what it is you're feeding yourself, as in words, are really good. And if you're not digesting them well, then don't do them anymore. Just go a different direction. Doesn't mean you don't take responsibility for the things that you need to and work things through, because we all have stuff we're working on emotionally, but you don't have to choke on them. Anybody else? Energy's fun. And it's really fun to change yours. So think about when you're in a dark space, you can totally change that energy by closing your eyes and listening to yourself breathe, by saying affirmations. So you might not be in a place to say an affirmation. Like one of my favorites is, I am love and light in action. I feel the light. I see the light. I am the light. So you might find yourself in a place where that just makes you want to gag because you're just not in a happy space. Then say something to yourself like, I've been light and love in action. I know I still am, but right now I'm mud in action, and that's okay. And it lifts your spirit. It raises your vibe. So say something that you can feel good about. And then get to, I am love and light in action. I feel the light. I see the light. I am the light. That one is one of the most powerful ones, at least for me and the people I'm working with. That's a very powerful one to do. And you change your energy. Just decide to set your energy. Like you pick out your clothes, set your energy in the morning, read affirmations, and decide to come back to, I'm going to be empowered. I'm going to walk through every room and say these things. I'm going to do these things for myself because I'm worth it. And I'm controlling my own energy. I'm not giving the power to the television or the internet or my roommate. I'm giving it to me. I'm not going to give it to astrology, and I'm not going to give it to the elections or the weather. I'm going to give the power to me. And you do it. And then it's fun. And then everywhere you go, people look at you and smile. It's very fun. And if you're home, because a lot of us are going to be home in the winter, every email you get, or a lot of the emails you get, or the different comments you get on Facebook or wherever you are positive because you've changed your energy. So you're sticky for the good instead of sticky for the icky. It's fun. It's fun. Have fun with it. That's the best thing. Have fun. We're here to have fun. We think we're here to like do these big, deep things, and maybe we are, but we're here to have fun. And the best way to do those things is to have fun, right? Be the one that radiates the good stuff. It's empowering. Okay, so let's do another, I don't want to call them exercises, technique to bring your energy into even more light. So take a huge breath in and out through your mouth. And then close your eyes and listen to yourself breathe. Do a count of 3 full breaths in and out through your nose slowly. And on the next inhale, move your feet back and forth and wiggle your toes. And on the next exhale, put your arms up in the air. Move them around. You can inhale and exhale as you do this. And then on the next exhale, just float them back down. Again, you can keep your eyes closed or they can be open if you want. Imagine an iridescent white light coming up from the core of the earth on your next inhale. And imagine that it's going up, up, up through your body, and as you inhale, it goes up, up, up through your body, and as you exhale, it comes down around you and protects you in this beautiful glow. Know that you are love and light in action. And say to yourself, I am love and light in action. I feel the light. I see the light. I am the light. So this is this white light prayer that I love saying, and I didn't write it. I don't know who did, but feel your vibe as I say this. White light is surrounding us. White light is consuming us. White light is protecting us. The divine love is flowing in and through us, solving and dissolving all situations for the good of all. A higher power is in charge of our lives, so only good can come through us. Our minds are open, our hearts are receptive, and miracles are happening right now. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I love the energy of this group. You guys are so open and so beautiful. And the exchange of energy, even through Zoom, is amazing. I can feel you connecting with each other. And you guys just have, this is a gifted group. This is a gifted group. And the gift also is that when people watch this, wherever they are, they get the great energy too. So thank you for coming here and being open to my energy and giving such amazing energy back. I love you and I look forward to doing this again. And oh wait, one thing I forgot, my guides just said it. I have an event coming up. It's on the 17th of September, and it's about tuning in to your angels and guides and helping them help you navigate, like understanding the signals from your angels and your guides and how it impacts your intuition. And I'm on Twin Cities Live in October, and I can't remember when, and I have lots of events. So just go to my website, theintuitivecoach.com.